Welcome to the Life Jacket Podcast, where we talk about topics help you get through the ways of life. My name is AJ,
Once again, I'm Bless.
and we're going to start with our wow, our win of the week, like we always do for all our episodes. As you can see, we both have Eagles jerseys under this life jacket, of course. So my win of the week is the Eagles. We won the Super Bowl. Big time Eagles fan. Glad to see us win. Fuck the Chiefs. I hate Patrick Mahomes. I'm so glad we won. I was in Philly for the Super Bowl, so I'm really glad that we got to see us win our second Super Bowl. So, how about you?
Tuh, man, I'm still living the happiness of the win of the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
So that's my win of the week as well. Like he said it all. Eagles,
yeah.
Eagles. But after that, let's go into our topic for today. So we're going to be talking about toxic positivity and if it's ruining your life. And most of the time we've been hearing people just say just stay positive regardless of whatever the type of situation is. But the question or what we're trying to get out of today's episode is that actually helpful for others?
And just to go off what Bless is saying, I can speak from personal experience. I was somebody who was just very positive all the time because I was really bad with my emotions. But as I've gotten older over the years, it is toxic to be positive all the time. I know we don't want to be in a negative mindset, and a lot of us are trying to be more positive, but you do have to feel those negative emotions and those emotions when you aren't happy. Otherwise, you're gonna keep covering up that pain that you really need to feel just to continue to navigate through life and continue, communicating with your friends, communicating with your coworkers, communicating with people in general. You're not really being your true self if you're not really feeling those like real emotions of just, oh, I'm just happy, happy, happy all the time. Nothing's wrong. I'm always in a good mood. It's kind of like a fairy tale. It's just not.
Yeah,
It's just not realistic.
exactly. And so to define like what toxic positivity pretty much is, kind of like just everything is always good, everything is going through the motions correctly, regardless of whatever situation it is. Whether it's raining, but you always have the sunshine on the other side. That's what we're talking about. But we're also talking about it as a point where it can be somewhat negative because you're dismissing the actual feelings and not accepting the hurt that you're actually going through.
And just to sequence our next segment, like when is like positive, toxic positivity, like when is it harmful? It's really harmful when you're not feeling those negative emotions. When, especially, we're black men, right? So
Yeah.
we're always taught to stay strong, keep going. We're not really taught to like feel emotions. And like that's something like I've had to go to therapy and really work on. So like you need to feel those raw emotions of, yeah, I had a really bad day at work. My
Hmm.
presentation did not go well. I ran a race, like a 5K, and I didn't get the time I want. Yeah, I'm disappointed. Yeah, I'm disappointed. And of course, like you're positive, like, yeah, I finished the race. But no, I'm a little disappointed. Like
Hmm.
I didn't get the time that I wanted. So just being able to reflect and be like, I'm okay in the moment. Like, yes, I'm good, but I am a little disappointed, right? That
Yeah.
I wasn't able to achieve what I wanted to achieve.
Yeah. I agree because when you have, you know, a situation or a circumstance that could be negative and you're trying to always have that positive mindset, you're not acknowledging those feelings and you're not being able to work through what that situation is. And that's when it becomes harmful because now, say you repeat that same thing or say something else comes that's another bad situation, you don't know how to like handle it because you just say, hey, it's positive, it's positive, and you're never actually improving in life because say you take a test and you get the grade that you don't want to get and like, oh, it's okay, I didn't get this grade but I did get that grade, but in realistically you wanted the A but you got the C.
Hmm.
You're not really hitting your peak and your potential if the whole time you're just trying to stay positive and not acknowledging those feelings to actually get better.
And it's like, say, your girlfriend, right? Or like you have a girlfriend and you're just like, you ask her, how's her day? Oh, my day's good. And the next day, my day's good every day. And she's like, you keep going, my day's good, my day's good. And I'm like, how is every day good? Like, not
Yeah,
to say
yeah.
like it's not good, but like, I feel like you're either you're masking something
Hmm.
or like you're afraid to express how you really feel.
Yeah.
And I think you're starting to contradict, like, yeah, you're saying you're good, but you're not. Like, I
Yeah.
know you had a bad day at work. Like, not every day at work is great. Everybody has a bad day.
Hmm.
Things go wrong. So, and don't get me wrong, I'm the type, people ask me how you doing. I'm fine. Like I'm always fine. But like no, sometimes like, you know what? I'm good, but
Yeah.
this went wrong today, or I'm good, but this happened. So it could be harmful when because it's like you're kind of lying to yourself sometimes, and you're not being your true authentic self if you're always good or like everything's always positive. Because realistically, it's just not. Like you have bad days, you have down days, things happen, you get a flat tire, um, maybe the food you brought the lunch wasn't that good. You forget your lunch. You know what I'm saying? Things
Yeah,
happen where
something.
your day
Yeah,
something throws off your day. Your boss makes you stay later to do something when you had plans already in the evening. It throws off your evening schedule. So that's when I feel like toxic positivity can be a little harmful.
absolutely. And to caveat, the same way with when you're giving that toxic or they're giving that positivity to someone, it can also be toxic or harmful because somebody can be explaining to you your situation, I mean, their situation, and then you're just trying to say, it's okay, you can work through it, but you're not really acknowledging those feelings. And that's what we kind of were talking about and discussing when someone's just the head nod or
Hmm.
whatever, and how like you said, even with like active listening, like you don't always have to have and give a response to something.
Mm.
You can just listen, and maybe that's all that person needs,
Hmm.
instead of being like, oh well, tomorrow you'll be better. Like realistic, like for me, I used to hear that in sports. I didn't want to hear that then.
Yeah.
Like, like,
Yeah, you just don't want to hear that in the moment. Like
yeah,
not trying to hear it.
like just hear me out, see what I
Hmm.
hear what I'm saying, acknowledge what I'm saying, and then we can move on for it. But if you're always positive, it's not necessarily going to be a positive outcome
Hmm.
with the toxic positivity.
And I think that dives into like when positivity is helpful versus when it's hurtful. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it's positivity is helpful when you kind of need that support. Like say, you know, you're having a bad day and like your coworker comes by and like, hey man, it's gonna be all right.
Yeah.
It's just one mistake that you did. Don't look at it as it's the end of the world, right? Like there's one of our somebody me and Bless know. I remember they had a tweet that said, did you have a bad day or did you let a couple minutes ruin a whole day?
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you got to sit back and be like, you know what? Yeah, my day wasn't. Yeah, I may have had a couple bad moments, but my whole entire day wasn't bad.
Yeah.
So it's just like sometimes you have to like just take a step back sometimes and be like, when you're trying to be positive and be like, you know what? Yeah, I had a bad moment. Was my day really that bad?
Mm-hmm.
Or, for example, if you're trying to help a friend out, like you said, active listening, let them speak instead of always like interrupting. Let them speak and then be like, hey, man, it's going to be all right. But, how do you feel in this moment?
Yeah.
Or, hey, I know you're going through this, but no, it's going to be all right. I'm here for you. I'm here to support you. Just like those little words or just encouragement can be really helpful when you're like when the positivity can be good for you or somebody else.
Yeah. I definitely agree. And then I guess just to move to the off-topic discussion that
Hmm.
we have. So I got a question for you, AJ.
Hmm.
Would you rather be rich and lonely or broke and in love?
mm, I'd rather be broken in love. Love wins, right? So I'm hoping my wife, who I'm in love with, she'll rock out with me, like even though I'm broke, she won't leave me. She'll support me, she'll be with me. I'd rather be with someone else than be by myself. There's a lot of rich people who are, they have all the money in the world, but they're lonely.
Mm-hmm.
They have no one but just the money. And yeah, I'd rather be broken in love. How about you?
Oh man, that's a rough one because I love making money and
Yeah, don't
stuff
we?
like that. But like I guess going into like I remember like a verse in the Bible says something like, "What is the gain the world and lose your soul?"
Hmm.
and stuff like that. And so like I want to say, you know, rich and lonely
Hmm.
because I'm not rich, but
Right.
I'm not broke right now.
Hmm.
So it's like I'm just looking at it from the other aspect of, it would be nice to, have a whole bunch of money and have the whole bunch of freedom, but then I
Hmm.
think at the end of the day, money's not happiness, and I think being in love can bring that happiness. So I would definitely, if I had to choose the left door, the right door, the blue pill, the red pill, then I'd probably say broken in love.
Mm, I like that. Okay. That's
Yeah.
cool. That's cool. And so just getting back into um, the toxic positivity. I think just on like a personal experience, kind of like a real talk, I do think that, you know, if you're someone who is not really good at expressing themselves, if you're somebody who's not vulnerable how I used to be,
Hmm.
you know, you're always saying everything's good, it's good, but like deep down it's really not, and you're kind of like hurting yourself.
Yeah.
You got to really work on, feeling the real emotions of being able to express yourself or saying how you feel. Um, if you want to just start off with that, maybe find someone who will just listen to you.
Yeah.
For men, it's tough, right? We always got to be strong. We don't want to be weak. I'm not really trying to tell you what's going on, but as you get older, you realize what's that. The emotional availability, being able to express your emotions and feel what's really going on. It's like it's
Yeah.
really important. It took me years to figure that out,
Hmm.
but I'm really glad now I'm in a space where I can like feel emotions. Like if the day's going wrong, I'm just like, no, like I'm feeling this right now. Like I'm still gonna go through my day, but I can feel it.
Yeah.
Whereas I know it's gonna be all right. It's fine, and just pushing it off and acting like it's not real. So if you're somebody who you struggle with just being able to like really feel emotions, and you just being able to really express yourself, just know it's okay.
Yeah.
Like I've definitely been there. I've been the person who's been like, oh, everything's fine, everything's good, even though deep down I'm like drowning, and I'm just like, oh, this is not it, and I'm low key miserable, but I'm just trying to, it's that toxic positivity, right? just
Yeah.
just just saying it's fine, it's fine, it's good, it's good. I keep telling myself that, which is good to say. You need that support, but I wasn't feeling that raw emotion of like it's
Hmm.
not okay, and that's what was kind of hurting me. I'm not really being my authentic self.
Yeah.
So that's just something, just for the listeners, just keep that in mind as you're going through your day to day. You're trying to navigate life. That it's okay to like feel those real emotions.
Yeah. And with that being said, we also want to hit kind of the points of, within yourself, but then as you're being a support system for someone else and utilizing positive versus that to- uh, toxic positivity versus just being actually positive and not making that harmful. Because we all have, friends and families and people that are not or that are going through something. And when they are going through something, listen and take a step back into understanding what's wrong and how to approach it. And maybe they don't want you to talk. Maybe they don't want you to say anything. Maybe your response can be just, I'm here for you if you need me, or something like that. And to go back to like a real life experience, my best friend, one of my best friends, his mother passed. And I can tell in that time, there was no opportunity for positive, you know, things about the situation. Like, yeah, he was able to say what he needed to say to her before he passed and stuff like that. But at the same time, I kept it short, sweet, and concise, and was just like, sorry for your loss, and I'm here for you. And I think that went a lot further than me going down a whole paragraph of things of just grabbing stuff out of thin air and saying like positive things to him, because at that time that's something that he wasn't willing to hear or he didn't want to hear, and it was just short and concise, but he just know that I was there for him. And when we're given feedback to our friends and family with negative situations, kind of understand your audience and kind of understand how they are feeling and what you would want to hear if you were in his shoes or their shoes.
Yeah, that's really important. It's like when something bad happens to you, right? Like, like we're both Christian, well, and then people be like, well, God's gonna work it out. It's like, yeah, he probably will, but I'm not trying to hear that right now. Like, I'm really not trying to hear that in the moment,
Yeah, yeah.
respectfully. Like, I know it probably is gonna work out, but in that moment, I'm not trying to hear that. No shade. That's just a real emotion. Like, I'm not trying to hear that in that
Yeah,
specific
yeah.
moment. I'm sorry. Like, let me be sad about what's going on. I think another point too, to the viewers, active listening. Please listen to your friends. Stop always trying to offer solutions if they're trying to talk to you about something,
Mhm.
or just listen. Just sit back and listen. Listening is actually a really good skill. A lot of people don't have. Everybody wants to just say their input or say what they gotta say. Or like, you ever talk to somebody like you could tell like you're talking and they're just waiting for you to stop so they can
Mhm.
say what they gotta say. Like, just listen to what the person you're talking to has to say. Let them vent, let them say how they feel, and then learn how to respond accordingly. And just practice active listening. I think that's really, really important too. That allows people to really feel like they can express themselves instead of like just saying, yeah, I'm good or I'm fine or lying to you. Like they can actually express how they really feel about themselves.
Facts. I think that when you were talking about that, I think of like parents
Yeah.
and older people. Like they
Hmm.
always, yes, they're older, they have experience and stuff like that, but like you don't want to hear that. Like
Yeah.
I just want you to listen and let me get my emotions out,
Mm.
and then once those emotions are actually released, then your input is a little bit, nice to come in and be able to express that. But at the time, a lot of times you just don't want to hear that. Like, and so when you guys are giving advice, once again, understand your audience and understand what they may want or what they don't want. So that way you're not making it more harmful than helpful.
Yeah, but on a positive note, it's better to be somebody around who's positive than negative.
Yeah, no,
Being
that's
around
facts.
somebody negative all the time that's drowning. That's like
Oh yeah, yeah.
draining. I'm cool. Like negative all the time. There's something always wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not. I'd rather you be toxic positive than like super negative all the time too. So,
Yeah.
but but yeah. So, any
Any final thoughts?
I think final thoughts is more of I think what we talked about earlier. Just if you're somebody who's like you know that you're a very like positive person all the time, sometimes maybe just take a little step back. There's nothing
Mhm.
wrong being positive, but in certain situations, it's okay if it's not positive, right? It's okay if something goes wrong and to feel that, right? Instead of just being like, no, it's okay, it's great, it's good. It could be, but also in the moment be like, yeah, but this sucks right now.
Mhm.
Like in this moment, this really does suck. Um, and just be able to feel that emotion, I think is really, really important just for you just to navigate situations in life, navigating with people, and just really being your real authentic self. It's just being like, you know what? I realize that everything just can't it's not like just amazing and happy all the time. Like
Mhm.
there are days where, things aren't gonna go well, but I have to be able to just navigate those emotions and realize that, it's gonna be all right, it's gonna be okay. But in this moment right now, yeah, I'm feeling what's I'm feeling that negative raw emotion that I'm going through.
Yeah, I agree. And then I guess my last words is just kind of acknowledge the person who's telling you about that situation and let them talk. Let them just let it all out. And then at the end of the day, you could say with your piece, but it doesn't have to be so much where now they're just even more mad that they told you about it. Just be helpful to them in a short, concise way rather than trying to find, a whole bunch of ducks in a pond,
Hmm.
and you should be good to go. But once again, know your audience and know who you're talking to and who's talking to you. So that way you can assess the situation and be able to give them positive
Hmm.
stuff instead of toxic positive.
Speaking of positive, make sure y'all go like, subscribe, comment. We're on YouTube, we're on TikTok, we're on Instagram. Please show love. Please stop hitting us up and say you like the podcast, but you don't follow us or like any of our stuff or subscribe. It does go a long way. We really do appreciate the ones that do. And if you are somebody who maybe hasn't yet or you've talked to us about, just go ahead and support. It's free. We appreciate it though.
Yes, sir. And
But
that's it.
until the next time,
See ya.
peace.